G'day folks, how yous doing? It's been a couple of weeks since I've put a vid up. I've been busy on the car. I've done, well, in the last couple of days I've been busy on it. I've done a few little changes to the car and I'm really just happy with the way it's all sort of coming together. As you can see, I've pulled out the intercooler. Huge difference. I've actually tested it on my new driveway, believe it or not, but I've been banned from it. I've had my driveway around the house all done in asphalt, and I did some testing and my wife didn't enjoy it that much, so she's banned me from that. But I've got some great little bit of feedback or data that I collected from that sort of bit of a test. Well, as you can see there, I've originally, even before I put the intercooler in, I had two 90-degree bends running through. So I've got two 45s now, and that's sort of taken away those sharp sort of bends. It's made a big difference, guys. This intercooler, folks, was holding me back. Something shocking. Don't ask me why I put it in. I went through a bit of a time back a few months ago, about 3 or 4 months ago, where I sort of lost the plot a little bit with the fueling. But, you know, sometimes you've got to take a few steps back to move forward. And I've definitely moved forward with it all now, and goodness me. What it's gone and done just for the moment, guys, pulling it out, because there was such a restriction with it, it's changed the way the fueling ramps in. It's actually made it a lot worse, but we've got a plan to correct it. I've actually just got to do a little test with it running, just to gauge on when the power valve with the vacuum kicks in. So what we're going to do, I don't run boost reference power valves in this, guys. So we're just running a power valve in the front and we've got a blank in the rear. Now I know down the track, once I get my handle on this, that's going to be my next step once I sort of start ramping up around sort of 15 pounds of boost. I would like to really try and smooth out that fuel curve, and the power valves offer that. So for now, we're going to try and restrict the fuel going into the circuit through the power valve. Now, we've got a couple of options with this way of doing it. Now, this is my gas metering block. This is a 4.5. So we're going to verify and see what the other one is in the E85 metering block. But my plan is to, well, there's a couple of options. We can either go for one that opens a little bit later, like a delay with the power valve, or we can restrict the sort of the jetting for the power valve too. Now these ones I've just checked are 47 thousandths. Remember, this is the gas metering block. I want to compare it to the other one, and we can make some little adjustments to try and slow the fuel so we're not dumping too much in, because I noticed when I was testing it, it was a little bit fuely until it sort of kicked on, till the boost started to ramp in, and then it sort of took off. But goodness me, just even revving it, giving it a bit of a crack on the throttle, bloody, oh geez, this is unreal. It's incredible. So very excited. And I'll be honest with you guys, I had lost the plot there a few months, 4 or 5 months ago, when I put that intercooler in. It's not even a big enough one, really. They say it's rated to 800 horsepower, but look, at the end of the day, it's a massive restriction. And for the boost that I'm running at the moment, like from 7, I've just bought a 10-pound spring for when I get this fueling or get this tip-in sorted out. I do plan on sort of going up a little bit in boost, but I think once I go over 10 pound, I've really got to make a decision on, do I go to the boost reference power valves or just keep a close eye on it and just see how it reacts on 15 pound, and if I can get that sort of that real smooth fuel curve with the carb, because at the minute we're relying on the boost reference, the sort of the normal vacuum power valve to dump the fuel in, and then we're sort of just relying on the jetting to supply the fuel up top. I know the jet extensions help immensely once the revs really kick in, but I don't know the limit of this carb in this configuration at the moment. But that's just something I'm sort of diving in on at the moment and learning. There's actually a guy that's talking about it and doing a little series on it. Titan 1500, I think he calls his channel. I might put a link in the comments because he's only on the second or third video in on his little series, and he's very, very interesting. So I'm very excited about that because this could be a good step up for me when I sort of up the boost, up around sort of 15 pound, and we'll go from there. But oh, it's terrific, it really is. I put a little battery cover. When I was down the track last, the big knob boss said just put a cover on that. So I've just done it out of core flute, just in the event if we have a rollover, any acid sort of gets trapped in there. But it's well braced in there. I assume you've seen it in other videos, so it's just a cover to stop the acid if we ever get a rollover. So, God, it's cleaned it up in there. That was 11 kilo too, all that set up. Yeah, so I've had another little issue too with the fuel tank. The foam inside the tank's been lifting. There's 4 pieces, sort of long ways, and about halfway up the tank. It's held up really well for E85, so there's no deterioration whatsoever. I had to take all these little, the bolts, geez, that's a horrible job that. Take it off so I can get my hand down in there and push it all down. And I ended up, not sure, yeah, there you go. You can sort of just, hang on, I'll flick my light on. Yeah, I've got a little, it's sort of just a pressure thing on it. Little rod, aluminum rod, pushing down on a little bit of furring channel. And I've got one this side too. So it's, it's around here just to hold that down, because what's happening is with cornering and acceleration, it's actually kicking up at the back. So I've got it all sort of clamped back down, so hopefully it's very important I have that foam to stop it sort of sloshing around in there and we don't get any fuel surge. Good little tank though, but yeah, a little design flaw there. I think I don't know if it's for drag racing or what, but it's a good little tank. 60 litre, so it's been a beauty. Yeah, so I got that sorted. Hopefully, fingers crossed. On the next vid, guys, I want to talk about now that we can sort of see it a lot better, my whole breathing system on the way it works, because I'm absolutely stoked with the way I've got this vacupan set up. Run on it, because I think I've got a little rear main seal leak. I don't know if it's the actual, this has got a Neo seal in it. It's the early style block. So it's just weeping out of there. And I know before I had the vacupan on, I was actually getting a fair old leak coming out of it, and it was a real pain. Not to the point of having to pull the motor out of it, but it was a real nuisance. And I was always getting a little bit of oil kick up out of the dipstick. But anyway, since then, I put this vacupan set up on it, and goodness me, we get bugger all leaks come out of that. Only a couple of drips, 3 or 4 drips just sitting there. I used to get it in under the transmission pan. It'd blow back in under, and it was a real nuisance. Every time I'd come back from a day down at the track, I'd have to sort of get up and clean it all up underneath with a rag. But it's just amazing now. It's really done a huge vacuum job on the engine, especially when the revs are up in the revs. So the harder you rev it, the more this pulls. So I'm going to do a video on it and talk about it all and explain it, because I think it's a really good idea, the vacuum pan. You can actually buy them. Mr. Gasket, and I actually did when I was running NA. I had a couple of little, they're like a little top that sits on your on your rocker cover there, and they plumb in and it goes into the extractors. And there was a one-way valve, like a check valve on it. It worked okay, but the only trouble is I had an exhaust system coming back from the header pipes back. And I think the idea with that Mr. Gasket setup is you don't run any sort of pipes from your headers. Whereas this one here, we're only back, 8-9 inches from the tailpipe, so we've got no pressure from that zone onwards, and we get an incredible Venturi effect. It's quite unbelievable how well it works. I love it. I love it. All right, folks. Well, it's just a little update. I've got a club day on the 3 weeks. I think it is. Not this weekend, not the next, but the following one. So the third weekend, we've got a little club day on. So prepping it up for that, getting it ready, and really, really excited about it. So when I do the little changes, I've got this apart the carb, I'll do a vid on that too and just show you what we're going to do, and because it's very interesting. Geez, I'm learning about carbs now, and I'm really, really excited about it now, especially now that I'm aware with these sort of lean cylinders on this side, and we can sort of improve on it with a bit of jetting and whatnot. It's bloody great. This has been years working all this out, guys, and now, like I said, for myself, I think 2020 is going to be a great year as far as growth for this car and myself in knowledge. It's awesome. All right, folks, my little engine's still sitting there. That's going to be a wintertime job, by the way. So I'm putting that back till the winter and work on that. I've got a great little idea what I want to do with that. So, yeah, I can't wait. All right, folks, well, it's looking good. Moving forward, lightening it up, simplifying it again. I think that's great. All right, guys, I'll pop one up soon. Catch you later.